My name is Parastu Imami, and I'm the host of The Road to Success for Your Highly Sensitive Child. This podcast is about empowering parents of highly sensitive children to nurture their child's unique personality trait and create a path to success. Our podcast provides guidance, insights, and support to help you unlock your child's full potential, fostering resilience, confidence, and a bright future. If you're new to my podcast, please go back and listen to episodes 1 and 2 because they provide information on high sensitivity that all subsequent episodes will build upon. To book a private coaching session with me, please visit my website at parentinghsc.com. Today, we're diving into a topic that is often overlooked but incredibly vital for building a harmonious and high-performing workplace. How to set your highly sensitive people up for success at work and harness their superpowers. Whether you're a manager, a team member, or a highly sensitive person yourself, this episode is packed with actionable insights. So grab your coffee and favorite notepad because this is going to be a deep dive into understanding and empowering a group of people who bring unique strengths to the workplace when given the right environment. First, let's set the stage. Did you know that about 20% of the global population is considered highly sensitive? That is 1 in 5 people. Isn't that incredible? I still find this data so interesting. Even though I've known about it for years now, I still think it's so incredible that highly sensitive people are such a unique group of people. And that's why I really am, passionate about bringing awareness around high sensitivity and kind of just build a channel for advocating for highly sensitive people because they're a group of people that are so misunderstood actually I was going to say in the US, but it's really a global problem. So high sensitivity is not a disorder as many people think. It is also not a weakness. It's simply a genetic personality trait that you're born with. And this is something that you cannot change. The same way that you cannot change your eye color if you're born with blue eyes, you can't change them to brown eyes or vice versa. So if you're born as a highly sensitive person, there's nothing you can do about it to make it go away. And actually, you don't want to do that because you're so lucky to be part of this amazing group of people who have so many talents that are unique to them. So, and highly sensitive people have a nervous system that basically it's more finely tuned so that they can pick up subtleties in their environment. This can mean noticing details others miss, being deeply empathetic, and producing incredibly creative and thoughtful and thorough work. But in order to harness these superpowers, you need to set highly sensitive people up for success. Today, we'll unpack what workplaces can do to support highly sensitive people so that they can thrive. And spoiler alert, it's not just about giving them quiet rooms. So we'll start with some common workplace challenges faced by highly sensitive employees, from overstimulation to navigating emotionally charged dynamics. Highly sensitive people often carry an invisible workload of processing. This means they start processing information from the moment they wake up until they go to sleep, which, as you can imagine, can cause overstimulation if you don't know how to regulate your nervous system. Now, a lot of people want to know, what does it mean to regulate your nervous system? Basically, this just refers to the process of maintaining or restoring balance in your body's physiological and emotional responses. So, your nervous system plays a crucial role in how you experience and react to stress, emotions, and external stimuli. While some might see, excuse me, while some might see sensitivity as a challenge to overcome, I want you to think of it as a superpower that you can harness to gain a competitive advantage. And we'll get into this in a lot of detail on this episode. So, highly sensitive people can be an emotional glue in teams, the ones who see potential pitfalls before they arise, and the people who make sure inclusivity is more than just a buzzword. They're the ones who can see both the big picture and the small picture. They're the super creative, great at making decisions, and have this amazing ability to read the room and know how to use this information to move the discussion forward and get positive and impactful results. So let's get into it. We're going to first talk about 10 misunderstandings or yeah, I guess, or myths around highly sensitive people in the workplace. So, the first myth or misunderstanding is that sensitivity is a weakness or something that can make a person less resilient, less confident, or more prone to stress. This is absolutely a myth. The reality is that sensitivity is a strength. Highly sensitive people are often more empathetic, attentive to detail, and able to read emotional dynamics within teams. Their heightened awareness allows them to identify problems and come up with creative solutions others may overlook. So, sensitivity doesn't mean fragility or weakness. It means they process information more deeply and care about the impact of their actions and decisions. The second myth is that highly sensitive people are easily offended. Particularly when they appear upset in response to criticism or challenging situations. Now, the reality is, highly sensitive people may feel emotions more intensely, but it doesn't mean that they're quick to take offense. They tend to internalize feedback and experience it deeply because they care deeply about their work and about their relationships. It's important for others to recognize that highly sensitive people may need more time to process feedback or discuss issues without feeling emotionally overwhelmed. So, what this means is, first of all, if you're going to give feedback to anyone, whether they're highly sensitive or not, you want to make sure you're giving constructive feedback. And the feedback is fact based. It's not based on your judgment or your perception of things. It's actually fact based because the last thing you want to do, a highly sensitive person, is all about right and wrong. So they're the ones who, are really about justice and making sure people treat them fairly and also people treat others fairly. They're the first ones to call it out when someone is being mistreated. So by with giving the feedback, you want to make sure it's accurate, you want to make sure it's factual, you want to make sure you provide as detailed um, information as possible. So the more data points you provide, the better it is. Because remember, highly sensitive people will digest everything. Like they're going to just look at it from every angle. They're going to process things deeply, and they're just going to, really think. Deeply about the feedback that you're giving them because they don't like making mistakes. They want to be as perfect as possible. And of course, this is something that they have to unlearn, because this is something that's part of being a highly sensitive person. But it is an aspect of high sensitivity that you can actually work on, and be less of a perfectionist than you are. So their perfectionist tendencies will make them want to be doing everything perfectly, everything correctly. And then, so when you give them feedback that alludes to the fact that they may have not done something perfectly, then they get very basically, they take this information to heart. And it's not that they're getting offended by it. It's not that at all. It's just that they want to find out, how can they make sure that this mistake doesn't happen again. So we're cool with making a mistake. We're great about being accountable for our actions. And we're also great about taking feedback as long as it's presented properly and it's done in a respectful manner. And we take that feedback and we really try to make sure that we don't make that mistake again. Or if it wasn't a mistake, it's just a suggestion for improvement. We love improving on our skill sets. So it's actually something that we thrive on, getting feedback that will help us be better as a person, better at a job. All of that is really welcomed. Now, the next thing is highly sensitive people can't take stress or criticism. This is far, far from the truth. So the reality is that highly sensitive people can handle stress, but they often need to process it more slowly, and they may need more time to reflect or recover after an intense situation. But that doesn't mean that they can't manage demanding tasks. I've had, when I was in the tech world, over 25 years of being in the tech world, all of my projects were super stressful. They all had very, very intense deadlines. And often those deadlines were not flexible. So, you know, you really needed to hit those deadlines. So, and they were tight deadlines. It wasn't like, they were leisurely deadlines that you could work towards. They were all like super critical deadlines and very demanding. So I know firsthand that it is possible as a highly sensitive person to work in an environment that is full of stress, full of deadlines, and that where the job is extremely demanding. So that's definitely not the case. But if highly sensitive people are given the right support and clear expectations, then basically, and also constructive feedback, then they can deliver a better, you know, uh, project or whatever it is that they're working on. They can do it better. They can do their best job. So they can and will excel in high pressure environments. Next is that highly sensitive people don't work well in teams. Again, this is not true. While some highly sensitive people may prefer quieter or less stimulating environments, many thrive in team settings where they can contribute empathy, creativity, and insight. And they actually love being able to analyze and process information and take in a lot of data and be able to weed out all the things that are noise in that data point and just hone in on the important parts of the data. So, and that's all working in a group setting. So they do like, I mean, of course, there are some highly sensitive people who may prefer to have a more individualistic work, but that doesn't mean that it's because of their high sensitivity. It could just be that that's what they like and that's what they enjoy doing. And that's just part of their personality, but it has nothing to do with being highly sensitive. And also, highly sensitive people, by the way, are really, really amazing listeners. So they can be very good at um, basically resolving conflict, for example, or fostering a collaborative work environment. So their ability to understand others' perspective allows them to be valuable team members, and especially in emotionally charged situations. And next is the myth that highly sensitive people are too shy or introverted for leadership roles. Now, um, as you know, if you've listened to my previous episodes, highly sensitive people are 70% of highly sensitive people are introverts. Um, and then also, on the other hand, 30% are extroverts. So um, it's not necessarily the case that every single HSP is going to be an introvert. So, and as far as not being able to be in a managerial leadership position, again, and that's definitely not the case. Even if you're an introvert, for instance, for me, when I first started working, I would consider myself an introvert only because that's what my parents told me all my life. So I just thought that I was an introvert. And then when I was midway through my career, people kept telling me, you know, you keep saying you're shy and you're an introvert, but you really are not. And of course, we know that shyness and introversion are two different things. They're not related. That, you know, just because you're shy doesn't mean you're an introvert. Um, and then, but you know, I was told both things, that I'm shy and I'm an introvert. And then people kept telling me that I'm not and I'm not. And I do believe that in some situations I am an introvert, but then in other situations I'm an extrovert. So it all depends. You know, sometimes if I'm overwhelmed, I do need that quiet time, which introverts need, you know, to that's how they get their energy back, is by having some peace and quiet and go inwards. Whereas extroverts need, you know, need other people to get their energy from. They get it with interaction with other people. But then going back to the leadership, the reality is HSPs can be amazing leaders because they're, you know, deep empathy, emotional intelligence, and careful consideration of other people's feelings. This could really be an excellent traits to have to be an impactful leader. And because in my understanding, or in my belief, I truly believe that the successful leaders are the ones who are able to be empathetic, and who are also able to be amazing listeners and understand other people's perspective, and not just force their own perspective onto others. This makes me remember a time where I was working at this startup company, and they really had a dictatorship mentality where, and I was really surprised because these are, you know, really intelligent people that we were working with. And I never understood, how could they live in the US and have such a dictatorship mentality? I mean, I could understand that from the country I'm from Iran, for example. But from American, you know, Caucasian men, I was pretty shocked by that. But uh, it's in that instance where I realized how important it is to be, you know, more of a leader that listens and that wants to understand other people's perspectives, because in doing that they can learn maybe something that they don't know about, or something that they didn't think about. In that same company, for instance, I came on board and I just wanted to change all the processes because they were not effective and they were not impactful, and they really caused a lot of issues for the customers. And I was told I can't do that by my boss, and that the processes are working fine. Everybody else has been there for many, many years, and I'm the newbie, and I have to follow the way they do things. And of course, initially I did, but at some point I was like, this is ridiculous because I can't function this way. I need to be able to um, be impactful and be able to turn things around quickly for the customer and not let them go through all these steps that are so unnecessary, and that caused my customers to be very, very frustrated. So I started doing my own thing and following my own processes, and before you knew it, other people saw that it was working, and guess what, it's the processes that got implemented for the entire company. So that's the leadership, that's an example of a leader that you basically gather all that data, and then you decide what's working, what's not working. You show that your way is going to work by setting the example, and then the other people will automatically follow you because they're going to see the impact that you're making. But if I were to be a dictatorship and say, no, my process or the highway, of course, that wouldn't fly. Um, and the other thing is that highly sensitive people are really good at navigating complex emotional dynamics, because of their listening skills and because of their empathy skills and their um, emotional skills, just like the soft skills. They can provide strong support for team members, and being able to make very thoughtful and thorough decisions that benefit the organization as a whole. So in my experience, basically either myself or the people that I've worked with, the people that I coach, highly sensitive people really don't have an agenda of their own. Um, and what they want is they want to make sure that their work has impact, and their work has an impact on the company that they work for on a company level, and not just their own organization, because they see that, hey, if I do a great job in my organization but I don't do anything to help the other organizations within the company do their best too, as far as I can. I mean, obviously we can't do everything, but we can help wherever we can, and we have suggestions to improve things. Of course, even if it's not within our organization, I personally go ahead and help, and if I have the bandwidth. If not, at least I make the suggestions. And I've seen that with my clients as well, because for us, it's not about our personal agenda. It's all about the company level, because one team, being successful is not going to mean that the company is going to be successful. We all have to be successful together. So they're very collaborative people. So they would make actually great team members and great leaders. And then the next myth is that the highly sensitive people are not adaptable or flexible. Again, that no, they're very, very adaptable and they're very flexible, given the right environment. I mean, there are certain times where I can see highly sensitive people not being flexible or not being adaptable, but I think it's very, very, very uncommon. Um, but they do. I mean, I can see if highly sensitive people do like predictability, but they also understand that certain things in life are not predictable. You can set up your home to exactly the way you like it, because you have complete control over your home. And if you're married, maybe you don't have complete control, but you learn to compromise with your spouse and children if you have them. But so do you know there are environments where you can have predictability, and then there are environments that you can't, such as, if you work for a huge corporation, you're not going to have predictability because things change. There are reorganizations happening all the time. When I was working at Sun Microsystems and Cisco Systems, for example, we had reorgs every 3 to 6 months. So you had to be flexible. You had to know that there's no predictability in your job. Today you may have it, tomorrow it could be non-existent, or it could be something completely different in a different organization and all of that. So you have to be flexible in order to survive, at least in my line of work, which was the tech world. But and even in my work today, for example, I still don't have predictability. Every client is different. Every client is unique. And I have to cater to my client's needs. And there's no predictability as far as what my client wants to talk to me about that session. Even if previously we discussed, okay, next session we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. By the time we get to the next week, it could be completely different topic that we end up talking about. So I have to accommodate my client's needs, and therefore I have to be very flexible. Um, so so they can adapt to new situations, and they might need more time to adjust in a new situation. I've had that, for example, when I moved, when I moved from Cisco to Mobi TV. It was a huge change. I went from a company that is well established to a startup company. It was extremely different from one another, just the opposite ends of the spectrum. So yes, I did need time to adjust to that situation. Of course, I wasn't given that time. But had my manager given me that time, I would have been a lot more successful in that job. I mean, I was successful. It's not that I wasn't successful, but I wouldn't have been, going into the fight or flight mode had I not been put in that situation. So definitely, you want to make sure that you give the right. You give the right environment, the right just the right situation to your employees, because everybody's different, and you can't expect them all to act the same exact way. Thank you for listening. I hope this episode was helpful. And again, send in your questions. Anything that I could do to help, any clarifications that I could offer, I'm more than happy to do them for you. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this episode, please consider leaving me a review on whichever platform that you're listening on. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day. And until next time.